part 2 tutorial of how to run Lightjockey. Today we're going to go over cues and sequences and how they work more in depth of what you can do with them. So let's go ahead and get started. Whatever is supposed to load. Okay, so on our last video we made a cue called test and blackout. So today we're going to focus on test and make a cue out of that, which we made a cue which is called test. So what we're going to start off with is the sequences, because that is the base, that's the first thing you start off with in a cue. A cue can't be a cue without a sequence. So let's go ahead and start with the sequence. Okay, so now you loaded your sequence. We have these two lights here. It can be a wide range of lights. I'm just going to do 2 lights for this tutorial. So let's go ahead. Okay, so I'm going to customize one. Okay, so I'm going to have one in this position. And I'm probably have a green. And fast scrolling, and the intensity is 100. Okay, so we go to the second light, and let's see, yellow, 100%, and a slow scroll. This is going to be on the opposite side, opposite axis. Okay, so now we go into our sequence box, and this is our scene box. Okay, so this is a second scene. Let's go back to the first scene and let's see what we have on here from last video. So we have, just go ahead and switch it to red, and we'll put it right here, 100%, and with the, I guess, yeah, a fast scroll. And we'll go to the opposite, and we'll go with blue with 100% intensity and a slow gobo. Okay, so now let's go ahead and add one more scene to it, and this one will be let's see where we're going to go. Let's go back to the center and put it at white with 100% and no scrolling. Back to the middle on this one too, and white. Oh, I did stop, and there you go. Okay, so that's our test sequence, and now let's go ahead and save. And you want to click OK every time this pops up. Just click OK, and it's going to overwrite the sequence. Okay, so now let's go ahead and go back to test and open up the cue box. And so we have both of them still in there from last tutorial. So let's go ahead and remove these clear slots. Okay, so now we're just gonna use a browse the cue. Okay, so the browse the cue feature is to basically when you click right here in your cue box, that's what you want. Okay, so you want it number 1. So let's go ahead and go back to the sequence box and click on test, and there you go. Boom, it's right there. Okay, so there's so this is the status right now is edit and loop motion. So let's go ahead and click. Right click save, just overwrite it again, and click new. Okay, so when you have it in edit mode, it's not going to go through all the scenes. So right now it's going through 1, 2, and 3, but if you have it in edit, it's not going to move. It's going to be static because it's in edit mode. So you always want to make sure this is always blank. It doesn't have your name of your sequence you clicked on in here, because if it does, then it's not going to run the way it's supposed to run inside the cue. So if I double click it, it's gonna pop up there. So let's go ahead and just get rid of that. Let's get rid of that box. Okay, so now we're gonna click on both of the lights, and we're gonna see it's moving from one to the. That's one triangle. Okay, so we have opposite triangles. Almost looks like an hourglass. So they're both opposite of each other, and so yeah, you see this 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and so it'll keep on repeating this until you stop it. So in order to stop a cue, a sequence inside your cue, just hit this button. Or what I like to do is, if I have multiple sequences and I don't want to go down every single sequence and hit disable, what I do is just click one, hold control, and select whatever sequences you want to disable, and then you hit that and it disables them. And this is the button to re-enable the sequence to start running. Okay, so that is that's basically how you would basically form a queue and put your sequences in there. So let's go ahead and just make another one. Let's get rid of this. And let's make a new sequence. Okay, so this one's gonna go way in the corner with a yellow 100%. The 5 gobo. And this is going to be in the opposite end, 100% with a green and a number 1. Let's go back to the sequence box, the scene box, sorry, and add another scene to it. Okay, now let's go ahead and edit it again. So when you're building your scenes, it's basically your limit is your creativity, and with your lights and whatever set you have, once you get the hang of it, it becomes like second nature. It gets really easy. Basically, your only limitation is your imagination and your creativity of the lights that you have in your set or in your tab. Let's go ahead and put a 1 on that one, and just save that as test-2. Press new, go back to your test queue, open queue box. So click test 2. Oops. Okay, so when you have a sequence in here that you don't want, so like what I just did, overwrite test number 1. You can do that with any kind of queue. Just you gotta watch out with whatever you click on here, because if you click wherever you click on here, it's gonna overwrite it on here, whichever box you had highlighted. And so there you go. That's what I wanted to do originally. So let's go ahead and save that as a test, and now we'll see that one of the lights, it's not running. Okay, so now it's going off of test 2, and the priority system is in Lightjockey is from 1 to 12. There's 1 to 12 sequences, and number 1 is not the most. It doesn't have the most priorities needed. Test 2 will be the next one, because that's the last one inputted in there. So if you have LEDs or something that can only run, it needs to be run. They're basically layers inside of a cube. Your first layer needs to be your background. So whatever background you have with power cans or with LEDs, you put that as your first number, your position on your cue. The last position should be position changes in whatever lights you have moving around, or lights changing colors, because those are not really needed as a priority. Number 1 is basically your background. Whatever you need to be moving or changing colors is going on less on your what priorities you need with whatever sequences you make for those lights. Personally, what I would use, like I have right now set up test 2 and test 1. Test 1 would be my background cue, and test 2 would be my moving gobos or moving lights. So you always want to have your background as your first sequence in your queue, because if not, it's not gonna be a big deal, but it just relieves the stress of and worry of it messing up in the middle of a show. Because if for some reason you overwrite that sequence, then your whole stage is gonna go dark. So you always want to have that on number 1, because you're not gonna really be touching number 1 unless you invert it, and that's really up to you. But those are the priorities, the priority system that Martin Lightjockey has in here for queues. So that'll be it for those. Okay, so I guess we can go over Master Intensity. Okay, so Master Intensity has groups in this grouping tab, and there's a fixture tab. And there's groups from 1 through 8. Okay, so light 1 is one of the lights, which is right here. Okay, so say I add this one right here. So this is your first group. Okay, this is group 1 right here. Let's go back to fixtures. This will always have all your fixtures in here, no matter what. If it's assigned or not, it's gonna be in here. Number 1 is your first group, so let's go ahead. In order to add a fixture in here, you have to highlight it. We just click on it, and then assign selected fixtures, and there you go. Let's go to number 2, and let's put lights in there. The second light, assign, and there you go. It's in there. Okay, so now, okay, yes. Okay, what I messed up on is you always want to click save, so that everything that you just did was saved. Okay, so now let's go ahead and put these both at 100% intensity. Okay, we'll focus on light 1 first with the group 1. Okay, so you see it's at 100% right now, and that's the way it is on the master intensity. So see, if I move this master intensity down, it's gonna go down. You won't see it appear right here of it going down, because it's not gonna control that right here. It's gonna control it through here. I won't say it's going down unless you turn that group down. The same thing with the air light. It's gonna do the same thing. So let me go ahead and put that in here. And yeah, it's gonna do the same thing. The reason why it doesn't do it because of all these other options in here that have, whether you have blackout or it really changes a lot of things in here. It won't show what's going on. The position tab always has something moving in it. If it's a moving light, the colors move around and everything. And these are all controlled by macros, and this is not going to be controlled by macro. This is your master intensity. This is everything. Okay, continuing with master intensity, it should be off right now, and it is. It just won't label. It just won't show it right here. So let's go ahead and put it back 100%, and let's go to the next thing. So that's grouping right here. This is your group tab, and yeah. So that's your grouping tab. Basically, you want to use that for whenever you have, like a lot of lights, like over 50 lights, or even 30. You want to group them in different groups according to what kind of light fixture they are. So like with mine, I would have one group named moving heads, another tab named park hands, another tab named spots, and so on and so forth. So that's your grouping tab. That's your grouping inside your master intensity. Okay, so what you want to do now is, so now you got the fixtures down. You just want to play around with it as much as you can, and just see what you can do with it. There's a lot of creativity that's really put into it. Whether you have the sequences already made or not, it's really up to you. Like right now, I have no sequences made because I don't really need any sequences right now. But once you have sequences in there, you can start building cues right away and organize them to your liking. And just basically just practice at making those cues and sequences, and really play around with your lights and see what you can do with them, because there's a big variety when you mess with lights as far as creating something that's new and fresh. Whether it's movement, lights, changing colors, or whatever, it's just basically the only limit is your creativity and your imagination of what you can do with your lights. Okay, so now that we have tabs, I wanted to go into libraries and what those are. Okay, so if you notice up here, so let me go ahead and draw. up here, this says user library default. Okay, so that's your user library. In order to change this, it depends on how many user libraries you have. These are the libraries that we have right now. So there's training, there's 3 different ones. I'm on default right now, but you can always change it to training or whatever. So let's go ahead and select user library, and yes. So it's gonna restart the system, restart the program, and when it opens up, it's gonna open up with all these lights. So I'm contemplating on where using this or not for my next video, but there's a bunch of moving lights. So like I said in my last video, there's just, depending on what kind of lights you have, they're gonna have different a different orientation and different settings in every light, because every light's different. You can see it's amazing what you can do with these lights. So this is your color palette, your CMY, and gobos and everything. So this is your user library is called training. Go ahead and draw it again. So now you can see it's named training. Okay, so now when we go into, if I change the library again, I can just make my own. So let me go ahead and create a new library. We're going to name this TUT for tutorial. And we'll go ahead and select the user library, and it will restart the system and open it up. So now you see it as default, and everything is basically a fresh start. Your tabs and everything are gone. Your lights are gone, and basically everything is just, it's a clean slate. So now you see, now it's named TUT tutorial. Yeah. So now that's how you change user libraries, depending on how many libraries you have. It doesn't really matter. I wouldn't really recommend messing with this unless you're reorganize all your lights. But not even that. You would only do this in an emergency if you needed to restore a library. So say like something got corrupted in one of your libraries and you can't get to it anymore because of some sort of reason that it crashed. You go right here and you can open it up. So it'll restores. You'll go to your computer drive and you can start looking for your library there. Well, once you find it, you can restore a library. So what I would do is, if I had all my lights set up already, I would hit backup library and save it in a certain place. Hit notes, okay, create, and we would put this wherever it needs to be put at, wherever you need to put it at. And there you go. And so these are different tabs. You can add multiple tabs. You can go ahead and see what I can do with these tabs. This is your default tab. So let me just add another one. It's tab 2. Just click OK. So now you have 2 tabs. So you can put lights in multiple tabs in here. And if you want to change the names of them, you just go back to the same place I just went to and rename it. So I'm gonna name this one test. I really like the word test. Test-2. Hit OK, and there you go. So you can really customize your background image, but it has to be a bitmap file. And you just go here, image, and you can get your image. So there's no image right now because it's blank. You can also clear your image, stretch, and censor your image. But it has to be a BMP file, which stands for bitmap. And if you have a picture you want and you want it on here, just go online and look up bitmap converter, or picture converter, and you'll find one. I found many of them online, and you just convert whatever picture you want and convert it into a bitmap. So you can really customize your background in here as well, and there's just a lot of customizing you can do in here. So what I would do is I'll refocus on your sequences and your cues, and in my next video I'm going to go over the background cue and the cue list and go a little bit more in depth on how they work with timed cues and things moving at a certain point in time with cue list, because cue list and background cues work together in certain instances where you have enough cues to put in a cue list, you have to have a background cue. So say you have a cue that doesn't have something like doing a certain motion, but you put that in the background cue and it'll run it. So those two go really hand in hand and with how they work. So we'll go over that in my next video, part 3. If you have any comments, please put them down below and I'll get back to you. If you want me to cover something, let me know down in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, like the video and subscribe to my channel for more updates and more videos and tutorials on Lightjockey and many more things. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.